All right, so jumping right into this deep dive, we're tackling something that's been sparking a ton of debate. Canada, eh? Specifically, their defense spending and how it stacks up against their NATO promises.
It's a fascinating dynamic, isn't it? We've got this interplay of Canada's internal priorities, their commitments on the world stage, and the unavoidable economic realities they have to juggle.
You know, from those news clips, we can hear Trudeau assuring NATO allies, saying, hey, we're committed to hitting that 2% defense spending target. But then, wham, the pushback comes in hot.
Oh, yeah, it does.
American allies, even business leaders, they're all like, hold up, 2032. That's way too far down the line. Why are they so adamant about that? What's the heart of their argument?
It boils down to urgency, I'd say. Global security is a pressing concern, and there's this intense pressure on Canada to step up and step up now. Some voices are even suggesting that by holding back on meeting that 2% target immediately, Canada might be sidelining itself, missing out on crucial discussions and collaborations with its allies.
Imagine those high-stakes strategy meetings where all the big decisions are being made and Canada's not even in the room. That's a concern.
Absolutely. And the U.S. in particular seems to be growing impatient. They're even floating the idea of bliffing that target up to 3%.
Whoa, 3%. That's a massive jump.
It is. It really highlights just how rapidly the global security landscape is evolving. The message from the U.S. seems pretty clear. The world's changing and fast, and everyone needs to be all in.
Okay, but here's the thing. We're only talking about 8 out of 31 NATO countries who haven't hit that 2% mark yet. So is Canada really that far behind?
Well, it's true that Canada isn't the only one lagging behind, but their position as a key U.S. ally and a major player on the world stage, well, that carries a certain weight. Given Canada's economic capacity, there's a natural expectation that they be leading the charge on defense spending.
Setting a strong example for others, wait.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get practical here. What would it actually take for Canada to bump up their spending and hit that 2% target sooner?
The Canadian Defense Minister seems open to speeding things up, but there's no denying the financial implications are massive. The Parliamentary Budget Officer, their estimate suggests that to achieve 2% by 2032, Canada's defense spending would need to practically double. We're talking about reaching a whopping $82 billion.
That's a serious chunk of change.
It is. And it means some tough decisions about resource allocation are on the horizon.
And this is where things get really intriguing for me. Where exactly would this extra money come from? Are we talking about potentially cutting back on other essential areas, social programs, infrastructure, or would taxes need to go up? What kind of impact could this have on the Canadian economy as a whole?
Those are the million-dollar questions, and they're the ones that Canadian policymakers are grappling with right now. Increasing defense spending, it's not a decision made in isolation. It has a ripple effect across the entire economic landscape.
Right, because everything's
Yeah,
interconnected.
exactly. To hit that 2%, Canada would need to significantly ramp up its defense procurement. Think big-ticket items like the F-35 fighter jet program. That comes with a hefty price tag.
So potentially diverting funds from other priority areas.
It's a possibility. They'll have to make some tough choices about which defense projects take precedence. Now, on the flip side, there are arguments for sticking with the 2032 timeline.
Okay, let's hear those. What's Canada's rationale for their current approach?
Well, their argument is that their commitment to NATO goes beyond just dollars and cents. They emphasize their contributions to various NATO missions, like their leading role in the Enhanced Forward Presence Battle Group in Latvia, and they also point to non-monetary contributions, things like expertise in areas like Arctic security and cybersecurity.
Which are increasingly critical in today's world.
Absolutely.
So it's a more holistic view of their commitment, right? It's not just about writing a bigger check. It's about the entire package of contributions Canada brings to the table.
Exactly, and that's a key part of their argument. They want their commitment to NATO to be evaluated holistically, taking into account both their financial contributions and their broader strategic value to the alliance.
We've gone from headlines about defense spending to this in-depth exploration of international relations, economic pressures, Canada's global standing. It's clear this is a multifaceted issue, not a simple yes or no.
You got it. It's a complex web of interconnected factors, and ultimately it boils down to this. What priority should national defense have in Canada's overall budget, balancing domestic needs and international commitments? And what are the potential consequences for Canada and its allies if they stick to their current course? A lot to think about.